Okay, I'm recording this video after close of trade Thursday, 26th of August 2010, and I've not done a video update in a while, and thought it'd be a good idea to do one after today's close because we've got GDP numbers coming out on Friday morning, 8:30 Eastern, and there's quite a lot of bearish sentiment around at the moment, and I think a lot of people are expecting the GDP numbers to really disappoint on the downside. So just going to show you what's happening on my kind of shorter term and my longer time frame charts. First of all, on the daily chart of the E-mini here, we kind of closed down at 44.75. Pretty decent volume, about 1.7 million contracts traded. The range high to low was about 17 points, and it was a bit of a reversal day today. The previous day was also a reversal up day, and the last 48 hours has been really good trading, kind of with some nice trend moves up and down. So that's kind of been nice. Looking at the longer time frame charts, just showing this is a monthly chart of the S&P 500, and this is using better sine wave my cyclical highs and lows here. And a couple of months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, we had the cyclical high print at 1200, and you can see that what that means in general just means that there's an overall bearishness to the market, that there's a kind of a bearish momentum kind of going on when you look at the highest time frame charts. When we start dropping down to the lower time frame charts, let's look at a weekly time frame, we've formed a pullback and an uptrend, and we're at this critical support level here. Today's low was actually at the support level here. Support levels at 36.75, and today's low was at 37. And this is a critical kind of support level. I was expecting, several weeks ago that maybe this little rally would continue. We'd have a nice kind of end of trend warning signal up here when we had a cyclical cross at this point. But in the last 3 weeks, we've really started to decline quite dramatically, and we're sitting here right at this kind of support level. And time's running out before this kind of cyclical top is supposed to print, and we could easily just drop through the support level, and then we'd be into a downtrend on this time frame that would coincide with a cyclical downtrend on the monthly chart. Then just going to the daily chart, you can see a couple of days ago, this is this kind of 63 level that I was talking about last time I posted on the a video post that was kind of a critical support over this period of time. We closed above it on this day, then we closed below it. We had our kind of break below a cyclical support level here, and we're now on this time frame, we're in a downtrend. I talk about being caught by the next highest time frame, the cyclical turn on the next highest time frame, and what some of the scenarios that sometimes happen is once we have a break of a cyclical support on this particular time frame, when you go up to the time frame above, which in this case will be a weekly chart, if we had a cyclical low forming after that break of that cyclical support level, that would catch the down move. The problem with this is we've had this cyclical low print several weeks ago, and so there's nothing to catch this market, and then when we go to the highest time frame on the monthly chart, we're in a downtrend. So as soon as we break below this weekly support level, things get really ugly, and if we don't get some strength coming into the market and closing back above this daily support level, that really means that we're in for a downtrend move in these highest time frames, which means they're going to last for quite some time. Now on my shorter time frame charts, I'm showing a little bit of a bounce happening, lining up for Friday morning, but let me just talk about these longer time frame charts at this stage at least. Then we go down to the 135-minute chart. Again, we had end of trend warning signal here. We broke below that 2 or 3 days ago with this break below the 62-63 level here, and so on this time frame we're on a downtrend. And then just going one down time frame below that, 81-minute chart, same scenario. Broken below here, we came up to test back up at 60 here at this cyclical support, turns into resistance, and we've got a cyclical turn happening on the 81-minute chart, which will mean, again on this time frame, some downward momentum going forward. So then just looking at the better X trend indicator, this just shows me what the trailing stops are when I'm looking at kind of exhaustion volume signals. And just looking at a weekly chart here, you can see that we came back up to test our cyclical, our trailing stop, our volume trading stop. At this point here, we were turned away at that point on the weekly chart, and we've been in a downtrend since. So in order for this to kind of be a confirmed break back into an uptrend, we need to break above this trailing stop at this point on the weekly chart, back up at 26.75. Then going down to a daily chart here, Same scenario, we've got this 11 kind of 20 plus level that's acting as our trend indicator at this point here. And what we need to see is this trend trailing stop to be brought down below these exhaustion selling bars in order for it to get close for us to break into an uptrend. And I talked about this again a couple of weeks ago on these, on using this as an example here. You can see the trailing stop is brought down every time we have exhaustion selling to the downside, and so this becomes a critical level kind of going forward for this little rally at this point. We've had our first exhaustion down selling bar on a daily time frame. We need to see another one of those, and for this trend indicator to be brought down to that level to start confirming a possible break above that for a change in trend or the continuation of the downtrend. Then when we keep on going down to the time frames, looking at a 135-minute chart, similar thing. The trailing stop is still quite a ways away, so there's unlikely to be a change in trend using better X trend. And then going down to the 81-minute chart, yes, we've had a little bit of a pull down in terms of this trailing stop at this point. And so I'm saying that potentially tomorrow we could just flip above this on these lower time frame charts, but overall the momentum is still to the downside, and we look like we're in a kind of continued kind of downtrend at this point. Then just looking at my highest time frame tick bar charts, this is the Emini, the 40,500 tick bar chart, and this has been quite helpful in terms of the last few days, just showing where the support and resistance levels kind of come in. Caught the low over the last couple of days. We kind of had this downswing come in a little bit too late, but it caught the bottom that was formed yesterday on Wednesday, the top that was formed on Thursday, the resistance you could see here, where we kind of had a stopping volume, a Rambo pattern, and two no demand patterns right at this cyclical turning point here. We've come back down. Now we're coming back down to a cyclical turning point on the 40,500 tick bar chart. So I'm suggesting that the first half of Friday morning this might kind of come into play, and the amount of selling that we're seeing at the moment is kind of more than we've seen on this last push down, but it's a lot less than we saw in this kind of exhaustion selling signal 3 days ago. So this could be a potential kind of flush setup where we're kind of flushing out the sellers at this point, and this 1040 level kind of comes in as some temporary support level, and we start to bounce from that. Just going back to this daily chart, don't forget this level of around 1040 has been really important previously. With the flash crash was close. We had these two lows. We kind of poked below it and then broke back above it and kind of tested it back here. So that level around the 1040 type level is really quite significant in terms of previous areas where the buyers have come back into the market. Then just looking at some of the other highest time frame tick bar charts, just show you the euro at the moment. We had quite a lot of kind of bullish activity on the euro, just the bottom being put in over the last week or so. For the time being, please forgive me, I'm working on an update to better momentum, and as one of those improvements I'm making to better momentum, I'm trying to get this kind of flush signal programmed in. So this is what a flush signal kind of looks like at the moment. It's just kind of a temporary code that I'm working with at the moment, but as you can see here, what we're suggesting is we come back down into this low. The amount of selling that happens at this point is more than the selling that we saw on the bullish divergence signals here, but it's less than the selling that we saw in the exhaustion selling signals previously, and so that it's kind of flushing out the sellers at that point, and what we see from there is we get a little bit of a temporary rally happening because all the sellers have sold at that point and they're kind of flushed out of the system. Similarly, a couple of days ago we had another one here where we come down at this point. You see the professional blue bar right at the lows there. The amount of selling that we got there is kind of more than we've seen on all the bullish divergence signals, but it's less than the climactic selling that we had kind of previously. So and if we start to break above this kind of critical cyclical support resistance level at this point, we might break into a short kind of uptrend at this point. And there's a reluctance on the euro at this point to kind of go down and form this cyclical turn. When you see the better sine wave lines here start to widen like this, that's suggesting that it's finding difficulty kind of moving down and forming a really neat, clean cyclical support level like we saw here. When they start to widen at this point here, that's suggesting that we'll kind of maybe come back up to the cyclical resistance level and break into an uptrend, but we'll wait and see. Then just looking at crude, similar kind of time frames, highest time frame tick bar chart. Today we had our cyclical resistance kind of form here with some profit taking stopping volume patterns. We've come back down to the 73 kind of level, but again you can see this